Good morning. My name is Anita Menser, and I've been a member of UCH since 2005. I'm a retired school librarian, and I have had my share of book challenges, from Hansel and Gretel to the Dirty Cowboy. I've been a social justice activist for many years, propelled into action when my brother was fired for being gay. I'm a former director of our statewide UU advocacy organization, formerly known as UU Plan, recently renamed UU Justice PA, and I am a UUCH Social Justice Roundtable member. I share the lay liturgist leadership of today's service with 4 other representatives of our UCH Social Justice Roundtable: Rachel Mark, Barbara Pierce, Karen Sykes, and John Hargraves. Our guest speaker today is the Reverend Joan Sabatino, the current director of UU Justice PA. Andy Hoke, accompanist, Yvonne Duval, music director. I'm going to fill in for Corey for the Time for All Ages, and song leader Charlotte Henninger-Voss, service tech Amy Firestein. Whether you are a member or a visitor joining us in person, or you are worshiping virtually, we are happy that you have chosen to join us this morning. For our worshipers online, a Zoom online coffee hour will follow services starting at 11:30. For those here in person, we will have coffee hour in person in the common room downstairs. Please see Mike McCullough to sign up and help with in-person coffee hour. We are delighted that you have chosen to worship with us, and we welcome you to our fellowship hours and any other in-person or online UCH activities. And now, in the spirit of transformative power of community in all its forms, I am so pleased to welcome you to UCH. Whoever you are, wherever you live, whomever you love, whatever you do for a living, you are welcome at the Unitarian Church of Harrisburg.
Good morning. I invite us to take a moment to be fully present in this sanctuary. As Unitarian Universalists, it is we, each individual, that helps make this sanctuary holy by our attention and sacred by our intentions. Here, may your mind be expanded, may your heart be healed, and may you find what you need to reach out to this bruised and hurting world around us. Come, let us worship together. Light our chalice. If ever there were a time for a candle in the darkness, this would be it. Using a spark of hope, kindle the flame of love, ignite the light of peace, and feed the flame of justice. What's going on back there? And I invite us all to rise in spirit and song as we sing together hymn number 168, One More Step.
One more step, we will take one more is shared by everyone, we'll say one more prayer. One more song, we will sing one more song, till every song is sung by everyone, we'll sing one more song.
And we have now come to the time in our service known as Time for All Ages, and today I'm going to be sharing a story with you. It's a children's book. The title is called Click, Clack, Moo, Cows That Type, and it was written by Doreen Cronin. This is a story about negotiations and persuasion and organizing. It's a story about how we can work together to make lives better. Are we on our page 5? Oh, and one other thing. It's also a participation story. So I'm going to need you to help with the refrain, which is just 3 lines. Click, clack, moo. Click, clack, moo. All right, go ahead. Click, clack, moo. Click, clack, moo. Clickety, clack, moo. Got it. All right, very good, thank you. Well, Farmer Brown has a problem. His cows like to type. All day long he hears, at first he couldn't believe his ears. Cows that type? Impossible. And then he couldn't believe his eyes. Dear Farmer Brown, the barn is very cold at night. We'd like some electric blankets. Sincerely, the cows. Now, it was bad enough that the cows had found the old typewriter in the barn, but now they wanted electric blankets. No way, said Farmer Brown, no electric blankets. So the cows went on strike. They left a note on the barn door. Sorry, we're closed. No milk today. No milk today, cried Farmer Brown. In the background, he heard the cows busy at work. Click, clack, moo. Click, clack, moo. Clickety, clack, moo. And the next day, he got another note. Dear Farmer Brown, the hens are cold also. They'd like electric blankets. Sincerely, the cows. The cows were growing impatient with the farmer. They left a new note on the barn door. Closed. No milk, no eggs. No eggs, cried Farmer Brown, and in the background he heard them. Cows that type? Hens on strike? Who ever heard of such a thing? How can I run a farm with no milk and no eggs? Farmer Brown was furious. And then Farmer Brown got out his own typewriter. Dear cows and hens, there will be no electric blankets. You are cows and hens. I demand milk and eggs. Sincerely, Farmer Brown. Duck was a neutral party, so he brought the ultimatum to the cows. The cows held an emergency meeting. All the animals gathered around the barn to snoop, but none of them could understand moo. All night long, Farmer Brown waited for an answer. Duck knocked on the door early the next morning. He handed Farmer Brown a note. Dear Farmer Brown, it said, we will exchange our typewriter for electric blankets. Leave them outside the barn door, and we will send Duck over with the typewriter. Sincerely, the cows. Farmer Brown decided this was a good deal. He left the blankets next to the barn door, and he waited for the duck to come with the typewriter. The next morning, he got a note. Dear Farmer Brown, the pond is quite boring. We'd like a diving board. Sincerely, the Ducks. Click, clack, click, clickety, clack. And now we will sing our children down to RE.
Now we bless you on your way. May you feel love every day. May your light shining bright transform the world. Now we bless you on your way. May you feel love every day. May your light shining bright transform the world with love.
This is the time in our service where we share our joys and sorrows. We invite you to come forward and place a stone in the water, light a candle, and write a message to be shared. If you choose to write a message, please indicate if you do not wish your message to be shared aloud. It will be shared with the minister.
Spirit of life and love, we gather to share together in community these milestones of our living. A nest of robins has graced my tree. I'm grateful for the joy they bring, reminder of renewal of life in these stressful times. Linda. Happy birthday, one day late, to Margie Hartman from Caroline Park, and all of us, I assume. For all the blessings of our lives, may we be truly grateful. For the beauty of the earth, the changing seasons, and the flowing gift of life, may we give thanks. In times of fragile hearts and tender sorrows, may we find comfort and strength. May our hearts be healed. May we be filled with peace. Amen.
Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea. Move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
I'll begin with a quote from William Shakespeare. When sorrows come, they come not single spies, but in battalions. Here's a quote that isn't mine also, but it sounds like me. It is the summer of doom, full of so much bad stuff, from climate change to war to sudden poverty to inflation, to political ruin, to theocracy, to fascism, and much, much more. If you've been feeling this way, you're not alone. It might help, I think, if we talked about how wrong, strange, and upside down everything feels right now, because it's not going to get any better until we change it. End of quote. In a recent book, What Climate Justice Means and Why We Should Care, Elizabeth Cripps says that finding a balance between living our own life and fighting for a better world is tough. But recognizing that the status quo is fundamentally terrible and knowing we have to act, that's morality. There is room for hope, even in this terribleness, but there is no room for passivity. She continues that for our lives to go well, we need some core things: health, nourishment, shelter, ownership of our bodies. For a decent life, we need community, education, a political voice. Climate change is fundamentally unjust. This is about people being able to lead decent lives, not drowning, not dying of heat, not dying of food or lack of water. Mary Hegler writes about the intersections of climate, violence, and racism. She says that perhaps the world is not falling apart in front of our eyes so much as it is falling into our hands. What will happen if we're brave enough to catch the falling pieces? In her article, Home is Always Worth It, she calls out the climate denialists, as in nihilism, as well as the everlasting hopists, as in hopeful. They both are unrealistic. We don't have to be fatalistic or Pollyannish because there is abundant room in the middle for everyone. We can just be human and recognize that hopelessness does not mean helplessness. That's where I see UU Justice PA. Working in the space where hopelessness does not mean helplessness. It means partnering with others and working with a community of people who share our anger, grief, or just our bewilderment. This past June, we partnered with March on Harrisburg to take a stand against the money corruption in our state government. 4 UUs from York, Pittsburgh, and Harrisburg participated. There is room for everyone, and everyone is needed. I'll end with one more quote from someone familiar to everyone. Unless someone like you cares a whole lot, nothing is going to get better. It's not.
In the midst of a world marked by tragedy and beauty, there must be those who bear witness against unnecessary destruction, and who, with faith, rise and lead in freedom with grace and power.
There must be those who speak honestly and do not avoid seeing what must be seen of sorrow and outrage, or tenderness and wonder.
There must be those whose grief troubles the water, while their voices sing and speak to refreshed worlds.
There must be those whose exuberance rises with lovely energy that articulates earth's joys.
There must be those who are restless for respectful and loving companionship among human beings, whose presence invites people to be themselves without fear.
There must be those who gather with the congregation of remembrance and compassion, draw water from old wells, and walk the simple path of love for neighbor.
And there must be communities of people who seek to do justice, love kindness, walk humbly with their guides, who call on the strength of soul force to heal, transform, and bless life. There must be religious witness.
So I moved to Harrisburg 3 years ago to take the job as director of UU Plan at the time, as Anita told us, now UU Justice PA. Rabbi Michael Pollack, director of March on Harrisburg, a seasoned lobbyist and known for his creative nonviolent actions, agreed to take me on a tour and show me around our rambling, opulent, sprawling Capitol building. He welcomed me on the chosen date in the large upper rotunda with the greeting, "Welcome to hell." And I thought, that's a little dramatic, right? Over the years I've been in the Capitol, I've learned a couple things. Two out of three of those years were totally on Zoom. So it was like get acquainted with the Capitol, be in my home for 2 years, and then come back to the Capitol. It felt very disjointed. But anyway, one of the things I learned was that Michael was not being dramatic. Our PA state capitol is a little piece of hell. I have met really competent and caring legislators, but I've also had a hard time talking with a number of them. And I'm just going to let you decide who I see as competent and caring and which side I see as hard to talk with. In general, the other side is arrogant, dismissive, and their staff are instructed to give anyone who presents even a little bit on the progressive liberal side no entrance into their office. Our PA House of Representatives system is designed for the majority party. A bill is put forward by one or more representatives. The Speaker of the House sends the legislation to a committee he deems appropriate for debate, and there it sits. Good legislation on many of our UU justice issues sits in committees literally for years, and that is not an exaggeration. Senator Art Haywood, a UU friend, tells us repeatedly that we must keep making good trouble, but our PA government is at a stalemate. And here is a recent example. After the recent mass shootings in Buffalo, New York, and Uvalde, Texas, around the Capitol there was a rumor that the majority of the House Judiciary Committee, for the first time in 18 months, was going to bring some gun safety legislation to the floor of the House. I was excited. Really? It felt like the iceberg had been broken a little bit, right? So I couldn't get to the Capitol that day, but I tuned in to the House Judiciary Committee hearing on live stream. And here's what happened. The meeting was called to order, and what legislation was brought to the floor for debate? None. The majority chair moved the bills, there were 5 of them that they were looking at, all gun safety legislation, moved the bills to another committee. The local government committee, I don't even know what they do, where I assume they will sit until the end of this legislative session. Currently, there is no limit on how long bills can languish in committee. There is no process for ending the stalemate that we are in. The majority has a majority in each committee. The minority chair of the House Judiciary Committee, who I adore, shared with me just before the pandemic that he had been minority chair for over a year, and that the majority chair had not answered one of his emails. Not one, right? Whether in person or live stream, you watch these two. I give the minority House chair member credit for not giving up. He just keeps saying, no, you have to do the right thing. You have to do the right thing. And the majority chair just keeps stopping. It's a sad dance that they're playing. Another representative lamented to me recently, I don't know why I drive to come here. We don't do anything. At least back in my district office, I feel like I'm helping constituents. And finally, our one Unitarian Universalist who ran for a House representative and won is not running again in 2022. 2 years. That's all she's going to do. It's too hard, she said. The amount of money and time it takes to be reelected every 2 years, I just don't feel like I'm getting anything done. And she's correct. They are not getting anything done. And we need the people, us, to wake up before it's too late. Our system of government, nationally and in PA, is misogynist. It has been misogynist since its inception. What is coming out of our Supreme Court currently is just too hard to process, but it's real. It's real. At the Capitol last week, the Democratic caucus held a rally. A couple hundred people attended. And one after another, our elected officials walked to the podium and said, abortion is still legal and safe in Pennsylvania, and we will not stop fighting. We want to keep it that way. And I thought, good, but we are not in charge. How are you going to keep it that way? How? One of those legislators stood at a podium a few days later after our PA Senate held a late-night session and passed a bill to allow them to put on the ballot in 2023 5 constitutional amendments. 1, to make abortion illegal in Pennsylvania. The House member who stood said she was shocked and angry. I'm not sure where the shock comes from. I mean, they've been watching this happen for years, and there is no way for them to change. So this same rep stood outside the Capitol to a much smaller crowd, I must admit, but she looked people in the eye and said, this is up to you. You have to vote, and you have to vote the right people into power. And that is the only thing I see that's going to change this, the only thing. We must get the right leaders in place in our Commonwealth. PA went from being one of several key states in the 2022 upcoming election, November, to now being referred to often as the, capital T, capital H, capital E, key state. If Pennsylvania doesn't turn, there's not much hope for the rest of the country. And 2 of our current Pennsylvania leaders are directly associated with the January 6th insurrection. One is probably many of your reps, right, your senators, right? And the other wants to be our governor. Are we going to let him? No. Okay. I believe we Unitarian Universalists are particularly poised to do this work. Our principles call us to affirm and promote the democratic process within our congregations and in society at large. The before-mentioned PA legislator who we know attended the January 6th insurrection, the one who wants to be our governor, because he proudly took a photograph of himself and his friend, and I've seen it probably a dozen times on news channels. But he, along with other Republicans, and I know this thanks to Rachel Mark, held a program on July 1 in the Capitol Rotunda, right? Looked harmless, you know, it was a program about honoring William Penn for discovering and forming the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. But they stood there and said, one after another, after another, after another, that this is a Christian nation, was formed on Christian values and still is, and you cannot have the crown without the cross. Remember, in our rotunda, in our Pennsylvania State House, most of us here, I am going to assume, would say that is a violation of the separation of church and state. But they're in charge. They do what they want. They're in charge. There is so much work to be done. Our democracy was built on power and greed, hidden behind the veil of religion. Racism, still alive in our country, in our state. Our treatment of the native peoples of this land still haunts us. The Civil War still haunts us. And as Rachel reminded us, we are leaving the next generation because of our greed and laziness, an environment that may not continue to sustain them. If we don't act within the next 7 years, some scientists say, our Mother Earth will not be salvageable. I titled this sermon, Saving Our Democracy. Can we, should we, will we? Well, of course we should, right? But I'm going to correct myself. It's not democracy we should save, but the dream of democracy. The dream our founding fathers had has never been a reality, right? A democracy built by white men slave owners on indigenous stolen land based on power and greed, not people, right, is never going to be fully functional, right? Think of building a cake without a foundation. Think of building a house without, on a lopsided foundation, right? We have to go back to the original dream of democracy and create that anew. Can we save the dream of democracy? I believe the possibility exists, but there is so much work to do. And all of us, in our own ways, are tired. 4 years of the last administration, 3 years of a pandemic, an earth that may not, the reality that we may not be able to live on this planet forever. And yet, we must find hope. We must find a reason. We must find strength to carry on. I used that reading by Rebecca Ann Parker for the past 3 years. I haven't found anything better. And I keep using it because it reminds me, and I hope it reminds all of us, that no one of us can do everything. But each one of us must do something, right? We need to wake up. We have to, and at the risk of offending, we have to stop reading about democracy and go out there and create it, right? We have to do it. We have to do it. Specifically, what can we do? If you are not a supporter of UU Justice PA, we've set up a table downstairs. I'll be standing there. Let's talk. Let's talk. I'm going to talk you into being a supporter. The Central PA UU churches are forming a cluster. There's going to be a picnic or something on August 13th. I am hoping to build a lobby team from these Central PA churches, all of which you can get here within about a half an hour, so that we've been lobbying, but there's a handful of us, most from this church, right? From your round table, a handful of us who get together and lobby about once a month. I want to do it more often. I want a bigger crowd, so if somebody has work or other responsibilities, it's not just me and one other person standing there. I want a group of us. I did buy my red cape and white winged hat. And I'm looking for Central PA women to stand with me. We don't have to say a word, just have to stand there while they're walking into the building to come to another session. Excuse me. So I have information. Oh, the other thing to do is become an election worker. This has been we've advertised this in our on our news website and in our newsletter. I know many UUs volunteer, right, at places. We need to step it up, wake up. We need to be those people who are making sure the elections are safe and fair. And when they're not, we have to say so, right? UU The Vote will roll out this month. We have been interviewing, and I expect we will hire an organizer this week. We are a strong but small organization. We don't have the bandwidth to create our own phone banks and text banks, et cetera. But we have, what we do have is strong partnerships with Power Interfaith, the New Pennsylvania Project, March on Harrisburg, the Hub for Progress, NEPA, Northeast Pennsylvania Action Network, and PA United in the West. We will staff their phone banks and text banks with UUs. And then we will also have information available about writing letters through Vote Forward and continuing our UU Justice postcard efforts. Gun safety, women's rights, equitable education, raising the minimum wage. These will all be issues in the 2020 midterm elections. We will continue to raise issues with all candidates, and those who are new and those who want to be reelected. Tom Ulrich, co-chair of our UU Justice PA Good Government team, suggests that if we don't fix our corrupt government, none of our other issues are going to get any attention, and I think he's correct. So therefore, please, 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 please ask each person you plan to vote for state office 2 questions. 1, will they vote yes to pass a gift ban? Right now, legislators can take any amount of money, any size gifts, anytime they want. And then they have the gall to sit behind their big desk and tell me that that doesn't affect their vote. They say that right to my face. They must think I'm an idiot. And the second question is, will they vote for a rules change? Rules changes happen on the first day of each session. Sessions are 2 years long. This one's ending up in December. New one will start January 2023. Will they change the rules so that bills cannot languish in committee for years or even months? Will they do that? Will they have the guts to do that? And if you're interested in that program, it's called Fix Harrisburg, and it's part of the Fair Districts PA. Please don't send anyone to the House of Representatives in Pennsylvania without knowing that they will fix those 2 things. Friends, our government is unraveling. The great experiment has gone awry. We must wake up before it's too late. My faith, my Unitarian Universalist faith, calls me to do this work, and I hope yours does too. I believe that our UU values need to be brought to Harrisburg, and I need your help to accomplish that goal. Please join me in the work. Thank you.
Please join in reading of the unison affirmation. Love is the spirit of this congregation, and service is our gift. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to speak our truths in love, and to help one another. The Unitarian Church of Harrisburg is, as always, a freely gathered church of free people. The church is created, sustained, and supported by you. The ministry continues even whether the church building is open or closed. Each month, we share half of our Sunday plate with a local nonprofit organization. This month, we share the plate with the Downtown Daily Bread. Downtown Daily Bread is a ministry of Pine Street Presbyterian Church in the city. The 501c3 organization serves the hungry and homeless of Harrisburg, providing a daily lunch, counseling services, showers, lockers, mail delivery, and a safe and secure environment to rest and access a variety of other assistance. Breakfast is served Monday through Friday, lunch is served noon to 1 p.m. every day, and other services are available on weekdays from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. For those worshiping online, or for those here in person who wish to contribute online, please see the email with the link for today's service or visit uchbg.org homepage for options for contributing. For those who are here in the sanctuary who wish to contribute in person, the collection plates will be passed round by today's ushers. Your financial support and commitment matter. Please consider giving what you are able.
From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, and from this we live.
I invite us to rise in spirit and song as we sing together hymn number 1017, Building a New Way.
We are building a new way. We are building a new way. We are building a new way, feeling stronger every day. We are building a new we are working to be free. We are working to be free. We are working to be free. Hate and greed and jealousy. We are working to be free. We can feed our every need. We can feed our every need. Ooh, we can feed our every need. Start with love, that is the seed. We can feed our every need. Peace and freedom is our cry. Oh, it's our cry. Peace and freedom is our cry. Oh, peace and freedom is our cry. Without these, this world will die. Peace and freedom is our cry.
Thank you. So is someone going to extinguish Thanks. My arms are not that long. Thank you, Rachel. We extinguish our chalice flame, but we keep its light in our hearts with its message of love and justice, taking it outside these walls to the world we live in until we are together again. And I say, go in peace, friends. Travel lightly on this earth. Never lose your passion for peace or social justice. And may your Unitarian Universalist values guide you in your day-to-day living. Amen. Blessed be. So may it be.